Good evening. Welcome back to the Celtic Way. We told you we'd be back 5 hours after kick-off. The headline strapline says it all. Celtic 3, Rangers 0. Post-match reaction. Glasgow is green once again as Brendan Rodgers says waltz to victory. There you have it. Ryan, you were there. As enjoyable things go, that was enjoyable. First two comments in the comment section are saying a beautiful Sunday. I think we can concur and agree with that, Ryan.
Yeah, I think I'll fit in another Christoph Waltz pun in here as well. There was nothing inglorious about that performance today from Celtic, although I would say they didn't really get out of second gear, and I think you've seen the gap between the two sides in all of its glory. Well, glory for some, maybe not so much for others, but there's certainly glory for Celtic today. I don't think they broke sweat for a lot of today, to be honest. Nope. Rangers huffed and puffed. They had their half chances. Kasper Schmeichel had a couple of good saves at the end. We actually did get to see Kasper Schmeichel make competitive saves, which is what we spoke about in the pre-match briefing. But yeah, I think Celtic were controlled for large amounts of that game. Rangers tried, but they look a bit of a broken team at this moment in time. And Celtic look together. They look united. Every player looks as if they're playing for each other. And yeah, some real standout performances today. I think we'll get in and talk about them in a bit more detail, but I think we'll both be mentioning the same players in terms of people who really did stand up and be counted for, especially in areas where new signings have came in. The familiar, the usual suspects are the ones that are delivering when the new players are coming in and coming off the bench. So that's great to see. But overall, a very good Sunday. Celtic are 5 points clear of Rangers, on level on points with Jimmy Tielen's Aberdeen. And yeah, it's been a great start, a perfect, unblemished start to the season for Celtic and Brendan Rodgers. No complaints here whatsoever.
Goals by Dyson Maeda, Kyogo Furuhashi and Callum McGregor. Emphasising the gulf between the sides. Ryan, you said we'd spoken off air and we both kind of agreed that Celtic didn't really have to get out of second gear. We said at one point some of the passing was actually quite sloppy, but that's the complete and utter nitpick on a day when,
it's the standards, Tony.
Yeah, well, it's the difference, actually, to you, it's the difference between 3-0 and 6-0. The manager said himself, they try and go for 3-4-5, and I think that's probably the only thing he would say to the team, that a wee bit more tightening up in terms of possession and their passing than they could have. Slammed 5 past Rangers today. So yeah, I mean, but again, they had the game won. Their game management was good, and some of the I don't think there was an actual failure in the team, Ryan, I have to say. At the starting 11, and do you know what I love most about Rodgers today? I love the fact that he brought on Enkles and McCowan and said to them, game was kind of largely done by then, but go and experience that. That's who you're playing for. That's the jersey that you fill now. This is the big game. This is this atmosphere. Just get used to that. And when it comes around again, you could be the guy or the main man in this team. But this is exactly how it feels when Celtic win this game. It's the hugest and biggest games of the season. Just drink it all in and go and be part of it, rather than keep them on the bench and say it was too early. I love that he gave them a wee cameo to come in and do their thing. So absolutely brilliant, Ryan. But yeah, on the game itself, okay, you did the man-by-man ratings of the player ratings. That I've not read them yet. In fact, I think they're going out at 7:00, are they not? So that'll be why I haven't read them. So there you go. So my star man, I mean, I love what Cal Mack brought today. Didn't think he was the man of the match. The man of the match was Paulo Bernardo by a big margin, actually. I thought Paulo Bernardo was absolutely excellent. And even in the few weeks that he's been working with Brendan Rodgers since he's re-signed for the club, he's improved him as a player. He was brilliant last week, and he was brilliant today.
He's an analytical dream in terms of covering him, because I know for a fact that he might be topping the interceptions totals for Celtic tomorrow. Between him and Dyson Maeda, the two of them were just immense. I'll give my spoilers away right away. To be honest, you'll get a special wee sneak peek if you watch this video. There are 2 or 3 9 out of 10s, and Daizen Maeda and Paulo Bernardo are 2 of them. I thought they were both absolutely immense. They are the definition of this Rodgers ball, this next generation of Rodgers ball. They work so hard off the ball. And I actually thought in the first 10-15 minutes, Rangers were the better pressing team up until the goal, because Rangers were pressing Celtic. But it's all well and good pressing, but you've got to keep them out at the other end. They got the warning from that Nicholas Kuhn to Kyogo for that goal that was very, very close, offside just by an inch, if even that. That's the thing about the first 2 goals today. Both goals were scored a couple of minutes after missing big chances. They don't let it get them down, because they know and they believe in their style of football, and they believe that they're going to go and get more chances as the game wears on. Now, and I read the stat line today, and Rangers had something like 13 shots to Celtic's 14. Yeah. That just goes to show you why you read stats as only half of the game, and the other half being the eye test, because it was as comfortable a game as you're going to watch. I think they were sort of window dressing at the end of the game in terms of the shots that they maybe had that maybe made the difference closer. But Celtic never got out of second gear. They eased to victory today, and they really did show who are, and probably still will be, the top team in Scotland when the end of the season comes.
But Ryan, we spoke before the game, and don't want to sound cocky or arrogant, but we spoke when we said Celtic were in a good place. They're a better team, better players, and a better manager. Turned out to be the case. But first, I think Russell Jones should say something. Ross McFarlane, thank you very much. He's became a YouTube member. Ryan, do you want to do the bizzle with the strap line?
Yep, happily. Thank you very much. Ross is the latest member of our YouTube members channel. If you want to support our work and join Ross, for just £2.99 a month, you'll receive early video access, priority comments, and exclusive members chat function. There will be, in the next couple of days, an analytical video from me where I'll be discussing this game in a little bit more detail. I think that'll maybe come out on Monday night / Tuesday morning, I believe, but that will be available first for the YouTube members before becoming public later on in the day. If you want to get ahead of the curve, ahead of the crowds, then please donate £2.99 a month and you'll join us. Thank you very much, Ross, for being the latest YouTube member, and thank you to all of our members so far.
Appreciate that, Ross. Thanks a lot. But do you know the biggest gasp or cry I let out today, Ryan? It wasn't for any of the goals. It was when Paulo Bernardo fluffed his lines after doing the hardest part, running through, and then I just thought, brilliant. And I was cursing him. His worst piece of play of the day.
I had to edit a tweet, Tony. I had to edit a tweet for saying Paulo Bernardo's £3.5 million. Celtic have got a steal here. Had to slightly edit. I was halfway through typing it, to be fair, at Celtic Park, was saying, that miss aside, he's been absolutely sensational in the first half. It would have been an extra. That goal would have been an extra to an already very good performance. I just think he's...
I put him in 3-0 at the interval, Ryan, and they would have relaxed even more and maybe come out and added more to their tally. But yeah, I was cursing, not him, but just, the fact that he did everything right up until the final execution of the shot. And obviously he'd been previewing the game, and he's saying he wanted another derby goal to make headlines back home. And I thought, that was your big moment. And he fluffed these lines.
We'll be making headlines in different ways, and we will be the first to... He is in the headline for the Celtic Ways player ratings. He deserves that. There's actually 4 players that get 9 out of 10 for me today, and I'm going to name them all just now because I think it's fair enough. And there'll be a lot of people watching back later on in the night that will be reading the player ratings too. So the 4 players I gave 9 out of 10 are Liam Scales. I thought he was incredible today. I thought he was absolutely immense. Apart from maybe a couple of shaky moments in the first 5-10 minutes, once the game settled, how many times did he win balls in the air? Alistair Johnson, the best right back since Lustig, and maybe even then could be better than Lustig in my opinion. I just think he is a guy that is going from strength to strength. He is the epitome, the definition of a Rodgers right back. He's flourishing under Rodgers now. That pass to Daizen Maeda, bit of luck with the slip from Proper, but it still makes its way to Daizen Maeda, and that's another assist to his goal contributions. Paulo Bernardo I don't even think I need to explain why Paulo Bernardo was 9 out of 10 for 60 minutes. I thought he dominated. I thought Diamande, Barron, and Dujon Sterling really struggled with his constant presence and constant pressuring and hassling. He's horrible. He must be horrible to play against because he completely forces the issue every single time. If he's only got 60 minutes in which he can do that, I'd much rather have that and then have somebody like Luke McCowan or Arne Engels or Odin Thiago Holm or whoever comes on. Now there's strength and depth in those positions.
Yeah.
Bust your pan in for 60 minutes because you know that there's half an hour worth of other players that want to come on. And the last player is Daisen Maeda, who is the bogeyman for Rangers in this fixture. They are terrified of Daisen Maeda.
Bogeyman for one man in particular. But speaking about Bernardo, what I've loved about Bernardo is he's not afraid to do the dirty work, Ryan, and all that. But people forget that's not just his game. He came from the Benfica Academy. This guy can play. And it's his pass that releases Johnson for the cutback for the first goal. And watch it again. It's brilliant. It's a great ball.
It's a key pass, Tony. That'll come through as a key pass for me.
It's terrific, right? It's absolutely terrific. But I love that because people think, oh, this guy's just a terrier and he's tenacious. No, he's not. I mean, you're not watching. This guy came from a great academy that's produced a raft of players from a country that's notoriously produces footballers who play football. And today was a bit like a football team and football players in green and white jerseys playing football the way you like to see football played, on the front foot, aggressive, exciting. I think the manager said that their attacking play at times was electric, and it was. And there was a spell just after they scored the first goal. In fact, just after the offside goal, and then they made it 1-0, where you thought, this is great, this is a joy to watch, this is magic. And, you know, and all the guys that you spoke about there who got nines, they were all contributing to that. Greg Taylor was outstanding as well today. I thought he was excellent. You know, so, but the point I'm making about Bernardo is people think, oh, he was running about and, you know, but that was a whole package for me, Ryan, today. The fact that key pass that led to that goal, he's got a bit of flair about him. He's not scared to get stuck in, do the dirty stuff, and then chase back.
My favourite part of him. I like the fact
that he's got that great work ethic. But he's clearly listening to the manager who's saying, put all of those together, and you're a player, son. You can be the next. I hate to use the term Matt O'Reilly, but you can be the next big thing to come from this football club, and you're projecting further ahead, and you're thinking it's only going to get better under Bernardo. He's only going to get better under this manager. And even at Arne Engels and McCowan's cameo, I like that. I like what they brought. You know, you look at them and you think, yep, there's definite, you know, there's the raw material there to work with. But Bernardo's picked it up very quickly, hasn't he? Having came back. And you can understand why he left his clothes in Glasgow now, Ryan.
He definitely feels that he's got a big future here, and I think he's got a big future here, even with the introduction of Arne Engels, who didn't do much, but he did a couple of things that I really liked, and I'd like to bring them up because, you know, he has the record signing, and I feel like we do need to talk about it. He did two things that I like. I like his cultured first touch and the fact that he passes the ball very quickly. He looks like a football player. That's a good start for a midfielder at Celtic. And secondly, and this is the dirtiest thing that happened in the day, he physically ripped Igamani's jersey off to stop the attacker from getting through. This is what Celtic need in Europe. That is the sort of player. You need a player that is going to do that and take that hit.
Take one for the team.
Every big team in Europe do it. And I'm glad that Celtic have brought in somebody who is not afraid to take yellow cards and take those chances, because that can be the difference between stopping a counter-attack or not. That's a guy that's 20 years old, but he's going to learn under this new manager that he's working under. He's only been there a couple of weeks. It's a shame that he has to go away on international duty, but at the same time, he can learn from the best. He can learn from De Bruyne, Onana, etc. All the rest of those Belgian superstars that are there. He's rubbing his way with those incredible talents, and he'll come back a better player. Then he'll have that run. I fully expect him to be starting against Hearts once he gets back.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, Paulo Bernardo might have something to say about that after a great performance. He'll be playing for the under-21s for Portugal. So it's no surprise to see these players do all these things, and they're getting represented, and they're representing their countries, whether that's at under 21 or senior level. They're clearly class players, and they're showing it in a big derby.
Yeah.
I just think it's great. It's more great experience for the likes of McCowan and Engels to come on to that game and really sample it. And they'll be hoping by the time December comes for the reverse fixture that they'll be in that starting lineup. But they've got that winning feeling.
And the manager said, "There you go. That's what it's all about. It's up to you now to force my hand, and you be part of it in the next game." Alexander Beagrie, what a game, lads! Get in, very much so, Alexander. Joe Hampton, Bernardo's a baller and a warrior, exactly. And he is the two of them, Joe. That's what I love about him. That's what I love about Bernardo. Mr. Tears 03 said Celtic are miles ahead. He was surprised at how easy today was. Were you? I think lots of people were predicting it at the start, but didn't want to say too much. He's come back to bite them. Loudly. Brian Ferry, job done and clean sheet, exactly. Casper Schmeichel is thanked for that wonderful save at the end. He produced. Christopher Patterson, evening guys, what a game, what performance. Could have been 5 or 6, the manager alluded to that as well. Shania Morrison, great game, boys. Yes, it most certainly was. Neil Campbell, Bernardo was outstanding. He was. Chris Fraser, Bernardo was unplayable. Slick VR, thought Graham Taylor and Liam Scales were great today. We've mentioned them as well, but they were. And Curly's LBBS has got to be one of the best Celtic teams he's seen. He's 35, and then Brendan he trusts. And X5, an awesome victory, he's saying.
Tony, has any other manager, maybe in recent history, but maybe going backwards as well, has any other manager had such a stranglehold in this fixture? Well, his record is utterly incredible. In this
played 19, won 15, drew 3, lost 1.
Mm-hmm. And you could make the reverse point to Rangers' current manager, who has still not managed to beat Celtic, although they kind of paraded the 3 each game as a victory, but that didn't work out too well at the end of the season. His record is not good against Celtic, and that'll be the monkey on his back until December. Brendan Rodgers, now the narrative will be written, and it does have weight to it that Brendan Rodgers does. And I spoke about this in the showroom, the MPH showroom on Thursday when that came out. That video came out yesterday. If you want to check it out, if you want to maybe see it, I don't know why you would go back and see predictions, but it was a good video as well. I said that Brendan Rodgers has Philippe Clement's number, and I don't think that point's been disproved in the 90 minutes today. I just thought he tactically better individuals, better subs.
It's what elite level management does. I've been banging
He's
on
very
for
much in
long and
control
weary.
as well.
He's an elite level manager in terms of how he manages his players. His big buzzword all week was performance. Hectic week, transfer activity, Champions League draw. He's drummed it into those players. Performance. And the performance today was everything you would expect from a Celtic team who went about their business with gusto and that kind of zip, zest, vim, vigour that we all talk about, and as I say, play football the way you want to see it. That doesn't happen by accident. It comes from the top. It comes from the manager saying to Paulo Bernardo, "You're important today. You don't play, we don't function." Saying to Nicholas Kuhn, "You're important today. You don't play, we don't function." Saying to guys that have experienced the fixture before, "You know what this is about. You need to perform. You need to raise your level again." And Dyson Maeda again, raising these levels. Kyogo again. Was it ever in any doubt he was going to open his account for the season against Rangers? Not for me.
No. And I knew he was scoring at the moment he hit it because
he sized it up.
I see it in a couple of ways. I think that Kyogo maybe potentially sees a weak link in Jack Butland because he's scored so many goals before against the goalkeeper. He's a good goalkeeper, but I think he has cost him. Yeah, I think he has cost them in a number of games now, especially against Celtic. How many of the goals that you can look at? Not today, because I think the Dyson Maeda one's too close to him. The Callum McGregor one's unstoppable because of the deflection, but also with the quality of the strike. I wonder if it was going on target before the big deflection from Dujon Sterling. But still, you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the raffle. Cal McGregor's got 3 screamers in 3 games. He's definitely a man on form at the moment. Probably Scotland's best striker, which is unfortunate for Steve Clarke that he isn't selected anymore. That outside the box is just deadly for him at the moment. But I do think Jack Butland should be doing better with that goal. I know this isn't a Rangers podcast, but Kyogo takes the chance and he takes it early.
It's the ease with which he does it, Ryan. He's sized it up and he's executed it to perfection. Butland's too far across and Kyogo's, I can pass this in here, but I need to pass it with pace. And that's what he did. I mean, it's the execution, the finish is world class. It is. You cannot say it's anything other. Yeah, you can blame the goalkeeper's positioning. You can say he was slow and he was hopeless out of position, but it takes a split second to take advantage of that, Ryan. And that's all Kyogo had. He took a touch, he sized it up, and he placed it where he knew the goalkeeper wouldn't get it. So, as much as you can blame the goalkeeper, I thought the finish was exquisite, absolutely exquisite.
Absolutely.
And it's what you've come to expect from Kyogo. So. That's another thing as well, you know.
The next point I want to say, and I want to talk about Cal McGregor more specifically as well, or maybe Cal McGregor and his opposite captain as well. I thought you seen the difference in captains today between Celtic and Rangers, and that's a big factor. You need to have leaders on the pitch. Celtic were bringing off the bench the Dundee captain, who was captain until a couple of days ago. That's another leader that they can bring onto the pitch. Kasper Schmeichel, Greg Taylor, Cameron Carter-Vickers, even Liam Scales. All these leaders in and around the team. There was a moment today, and I don't know if you picked it up on the feed that you were watching, but there is a moment where Tavernier loses the ball and he walks by. He walks to the goal. He doesn't run back.
Neil McCann flagged that up. Yeah, Neil McCann was talking about that on
and
Sky TV.
I'm not here to make pot shots against the opposition or that, but look at the way Cal McGregor, Daiza Maeda, etc. played today, and then look at the difference. That is the difference. Yeah. The Celtic players wanted it more today than Rangers, and that's why they won and won so handsomely. Probably should have won it by more, but if they're saving their goals for later on in the season, I don't have any complaints whatsoever.
Yeah. Curly's LBBS. Tiny is right. The finish is world class. I think he means Tony. There you go. I'm 5'8", or 5'9" for those who are going to dispute my height, but there you go. Blind as a bat coming in. That was brilliant. Some record, 8 goals and 10 starts against Rangers for Kyogo. Shame his dink never. And I forgot about his dink actually. He should have made the game safe very early in the second half. And Jason Lee also make the point, Kyogo ran the whole pitch to make a tackle.
That's the difference, Tony.
So did Maeda as well. Maeda, there was a
how many times did he do that?
For Rangers. Yeah, there was one in particular, and he just robbed Dessers, and it was brilliant. It's a joy to watch that.
The supporters in and around Celtic Park want to celebrate them as well. These sorts of things, and they do. I think Celtic supporters in general at Celtic Park, they really appreciate hard work and graft when Celtic really put the hard yards in to make things happen. And when they make tackles, when the likes of Liam Scales makes a lovely tackle, they do get celebrated and they do get rewarded with the applause of the support. That awkwardness that was there a year ago, you couldn't be any further from it right now. It's incredible. There is a real togetherness and unity between the supporters, the manager, and the players, and that really bodes well for Europe as well. You're circling that Slovan Bratislava game has been a real opportunity for Celtic to win their opening European game. That's something to really look forward to. Yep. I think now we're not dreading any games. We're looking forward to it, and we want to bloody a few noses in Europe this season.
Yeah, the manager mentioned today, someone asked him, I think, about the week, what you'd written about during the week that shaped up to be one of the best weeks and stuff. And he said the best part about it was the growth. You can see the growth of this team. Yep. Joe Hamilton comes in and says, "Brendan, what a boss."
Yep.
Told you, Joe. Man's an elite level manager. Told you all for long and weary. Listen to what he says. Watch what he does. I tell you, he's an operator at work. He has gone to work. Remember, that was his first message. Let's get to work. He's gone to work in the past 12 months, and you're now seeing the fruits of that labour. And a man who clearly understands to use your phrase, Ryan, he understands the assignment every day, and he understands that he's representing all those people who cheered Celtic on today. You and I, and he kept banging on about getting quality players in. He's got those quality players, and they've got the best representation, best team on the park. And as you say now, it's not just domestically you're looking forward to, you're now thinking, bring on the Champions League, let's have a go, let's trust the manager to get the best out of these players. And that was a good bench today, Ryan. That was a really strong bench Celtic had today. And I think that he did that as well. The manager put those players on and just saying, if you think they're good, these guys are good as well, the ones that are coming on to replace the guys that I'm taking off. So we're purring away nicely, as they say, Ryan, and just hopefully about to motor. And that's what I like about the team. He keeps talking about there's room for improvement. And if there's room,
want more transfers as well.
Yeah, I've got. So
it's perfection.
Yeah, correct. And every manager's always a couple of players away from perfection, and that's what keeps them striving, keeps them hungry. But that, despite all the mood music, Ryan, getting into this, despite the fact that Celtic were overwhelming favourites, despite the fact that you looked at it and analysed it and thought there is a golfing class in the players, personnel, they were still hungry to go and win that, Ryan. They didn't think that all they had to do was turn up. They turned up and made it happen. They could have retreated into their shell after the disallowed goal and got uptight and upset and annoyed about it and blamed the referee. They didn't. They scored a goal. The whole stadium got lifted. It got chopped off. They went back up the park 5 minutes later. Carved them open. Didn't just licked their wounds and thought, you know what? That was a catalyst for Celtic going on to steamroller Rangers today. The disallowed goal, funnily enough, and there was no wallowing in self-pity or feeling aggrieved about an injustice. They just got on with the job at hand, Ryan, winning that football match. Okay, that one's marginal. You can't rule them all out. Here's one, here's another one, here's another one. That's what I loved about the team today.
The first and the second goal, the fact that there didn't even need to be a VAR check for those ones. It's as if, right, we're not going to play that kind of football because we know we're going to get a VAR check at the end of it and potentially get the goal ruled out. So we're just going to play it an opposite way, in a way in which that he's onside. With Kyogo, there was that joy of you can never the people around you, they're celebrating, but I did think it was tight for the first goal, the goal that was disallowed. So you've got to temper your enthusiasm until you hear the end of the VAR call. That went against Celtic, but that's the thing that's so impressive, Tony, is the fact that they went, even though they lost that goal that they'd scored through VAR, they went up and scored again.
Yeah,
they just, let's get to work again.
5 minutes later,
and again.
Yeah. So, and it was that's what I loved about it.
That's the good thing.
And I think the manager's been saying that as well. It's about dealing with that on the park at the time, being mature enough, in the way you approach things. Because you can lose the rag after that. The stadium can lose the rag. But I never felt that the Celtic fans got on top of the official and was in that moment. They just thought, okay, we'll accept it because there'll be another chance coming along in a minute because we're confident in our own ability to eke out chances. And they carved Rangers open for that goal. And I think Rodgers was really annoyed because it was a well-worked goal. That's what annoyed them most. And it is marginal. I get that the lines are, you can have a look at it yourself. The lines are sketchy to say the least, but it was ruled out, so you have to deal with it.
Tony wants 4, Tony wants 5, 6. Well, you should have predicted that, Tony.
I should have, yes, I should have. But
I predicted 3. I changed it.
You changed it, yeah. You changed your original prediction. I was giving Rangers the benefit of the doubt because I thought they might score 1, but hey, clearly not. I should have known better with Kasper in goal, but it is what it is. Now, lots of comments coming in, Ryan, so we shall take some more, shall we?
Absolutely. Now is the time.
Billy Fisher, hunger and humility is the key. The manager mentioned those things, but you know that this team's loaded with players who have those traits as well as the manager. Both Maida and Bernardo display a very high work rate. They do indeed. Duhallow LP saying Celtic are pardon. I believe they have a few gears more. So does the manager. So does every Celtic supporter, and I think that augurs well. Mikey C saying he thought Bernardo was great today. I think everybody was great today. And Curly's saying, okay, we go again. Yeah, correct. Today was great, but we go again. And exactly.
You just wish we were playing Hart next week now, don't you? That's just the
Clara Bergman coming in. I thought Bernardo was utterly brilliant and deserved to play the full 90 minutes. He's given her Lumamir Moravcik vibes at this early stage. That's high praise indeed. We shall keep our counsel on that one, but it's heading in the right direction, Clara. That's what we'll say. And for those who saw Chris Boyd in the Sky Studio, Nicholas McDade coming in, as Boydie said, the teams were miles apart. They were miles apart today, indeed. But yep, it was very enjoyable. 650 people joining us live. Thank you, guys. 5 hours after the match. We appreciate your company. Lots of people maybe out celebrating Ryan, and quite rightly that they should, because that was one of those rare Celtic and Rangers games where you felt the result wasn't really in doubt from the moment the game started. And you don't often feel like that, and you don't like to feel like that, but your senses told you that this is a team who are beginning to click and hit their stride, and a manager who knows how to get the best out of these players.
Absolutely. And I think you've just got it in your psyche that you're still a bit nervous even when it's 2-0, because one goal and the opposition are back in the game. So when that Callum McGregor goal went in to make it 3-0, it was like a collective sigh of relief in and around the stadium, because you knew that the points were staying there at Celtic Park, which was good. Celtic were in control for large portions of the game, and I think they allowed Rangers to play out from the back at times, because they knew that they're not very good for playing out from the back. Suter's an okay player. Proper doesn't look like he can pass the ball that great out from the back. Plus, he's got a bit of a pace deficiency as well, which is going to be a problem if you're coming up against the likes of Adamida and Kyogo. But I think they just allowed Rangers to play that passing game out from the back, because they knew that whether it was Proper or Suter or one of the fullbacks or Connor Barden or Diamandi, they knew that they were going to give the ball away eventually. Celtic knew that opportunity was going to come. They didn't even need to press them until they did start pressing, and Rangers were getting absolutely suffocated. There was points in the game where there was 3 or 4 players swarming around the one player, and then all of a sudden you could see the panic in the Rangers players' posture and composure, and they made mistakes. Connor Barden makes a mistake for the second goal. He gives away the ball. Daisen Maeda wins it. Is it Daisen? Is that the second goal or the third goal?
Second goal.
Yeah, actually, maybe well, it's one of the goals anyway. I know that for a fact. Connor Barden gives the ball away quite cheaply, and it falls to the Celtic player, and they score. So, I did hear about that a lot before the game, that Connor Barden was going to run the show against Callum McGregor, Diamandi, Dujon Sterling. I think they would have probably been better putting Dujon Sterling at right back, to be honest, to negate what Daisen Maeda was doing, because Tavernier can't do that, and it's pretty clear that he can't do that. But it's all about the Celtic midfield. It was men against boys in the middle of the park today.
Diamandi was designated with a man marking job, and Brendan Rodgers mentioned it in his after match, and he said that Callum McGregor's just outstanding. He knows when to drop in, he knows when to drop off, and he's just class. And
there's one point in particular that somebody completely turned Diamandi. It was Hatate actually in the first half, I think.
They tried everything to put him off, and he came up with that wonderful stat, which is the headline in the Q&A from Brendan Rodgers, that Callum McGregor, that's 3 league games in a row he's scored. There's a career first for Callum McGregor. He's never actually done that, and every one of them's a contender for goal this season. To be fair, if you're giving him that one, it took a slight deflection off. Who was it?
Dujon Sterling.
Dujon Sterling, sorry. Jason Lee is saying, no, he's not saying not Jason Lee, it's he was in my eyes. Brian Galt wants us to talk about this guy, Greg Taylor, who was his personal man of the match. Thought Greg Taylor was
for a new contract, Tony.
Yeah. Listen, if he keeps playing like that, he'll get a new contract, no problem at all. He just, like many players in this fixture, they just turn up. They step up to the plate, and that boy knows what's required on days like today. And again, you can't fault him. You mentioned Scales earlier as well, and what a start he's had to the season. That he has been Celtic's best central defender. He has overshadowed Cameron Carter-Vickers in the league matches that Celtic have played so far. But Greg Taylor, excellent today. Magical performance.
The two of them have stepped up. They've stepped up this season. They get a lot of critics. They do.
Yeah, because the manager's probably told them, listen, you guys get a lot of criticism, probably unfair. The only man you need to impress is me. So go and do what you do. And I think they've answered back a lot of those critics. And I think most Celtic supporters will say that they want an upgrade on Liam Scales for European competition. That's fine. But on this current form, he's undroppable. And the manager said that himself. Where would we have been last season without Liam Scales coming in and being much maligned and maybe on his way out the door? So he singled him out for praise today. So guys like that are worth their weight in gold. I think when they play like that, Ryan, you just say to yourself, you're clearly not listening to the outside noise, and that's all it is. It's just noise.
They're focused on their game, but they've added an extra 10% to the quality of their game, because in a number of those positions, you look at left back, Baye is through the door. You look at centre back, Trusty is through the door. Other positions too, Bernardo, Engels is through the door. Those three players have felt the competition, and all three of them rose to the occasion this afternoon. That's big. That shows real character. It shows that they do belong and play for Celtic, because they showed those levels.
Going back to it, but do you not think it also shows great management as well? In terms of, these are the positions that most people would say are up for grabs, and he's brought those guys in and he's saying to them, these guys want your place. Prove to me why they're not going to get it in the interim, and they're going to have to work to convince me that they're worth a place in my team. And I just think, getting back to that, it's just how you manage players, Ryan. It's astounding. He just has it. He's got that, and he's got that ability to get those guys to play like that on a day like that. And it's just wonderful man management for me. It's brilliant, because the temptation is to throw Trusty on, isn't it? Mm-hmm. To throw Valle on, give them a taste of it. But he's went, nah, these two guys here, who are, I don't like using the phrase whipping boys, because most Celtic supporters don't like using any of their players as whipping boys, but they're the ones that carry the brunt of the criticism when it's been dished out. Maligned. Yeah, they are much maligned, of course they are. But again, I thought top-notch management today from Brendan Rodgers, putting his trust in those two guys and keeping the other two new players on the bench, which is fine.
They get to sample the atmosphere as well, and they've got the best seat in the house. They understand. I mean, that's the first game that they've watched as Celtic players, fully fledged Celtic players. Now they know what it's all about. It's not like that every week. No. You won't have that big a crowd, and that every second week you're going to have to be playing away from home. There will always be a big Celtic crowd, but maybe not so much the home support. But you know what it's like. This is at its apex. Yeah, 60,000 fans, 60,000 passionate fans. It was a great crowd today. The crowd was not a moaning crowd at all, apart from maybe the first 5-10 minutes when Celtic were getting pressed in just a little. But it's easy to press for 5-10 minutes if you're Rangers. It's difficult to do it for 90 minutes. Yeah. Celtic showed that for the majority of the game. It was them that were pushing the tempo, that were controlling the narrative. It was a late goal by their standards for the first goal, but it was still an early goal in the context of the whole tie. And it's a Glasgow derby at the end of the day. Not everything can go your way all of the time and straight away, but it still controls the narrative early doors. Those players coming through, they'll be on cloud nine. They'll be going away, maybe even on international duty, saying, I can't wait to come back because I want to get in this team. Yeah. I want to sample that.
The manager was saying that he would have liked one more signing, Ryan. I wrote it last week and I'll say it again. The most important signing we can make right now as a manager, sign him up to a longer term deal, in my opinion. He can't just be here for his 3 years and leave when he's on the cusp of building something decent here. I would ask him to commit for a further 3 or 4 years, because I trust him now. He has won the supporters back. and he's won them back by his thoughts, his actions, his words, and his deeds, his man management. But he's also won them back with a style of football that you can now see he wants the team to play, and the calibre and quality of player that he's bringing into the club. And for once, you hope that there's something there to build on, not dismantle. And I think I would be turning around and saying to him, look, how do you fancy extending that contract for another couple of years, 2 or 3 years anyway? Take it to, I mean, he's got this year and next year, hasn't he? I'd want another 2 or 3 years added onto that, right? If he'll commit to it and he wants to.
At least.
Aye, at least. Well, yeah. And I just feel that he's in a happy place. You know, this is where his football heart lies. It's his home. And I think he could get a lot of joy and happiness by being the manager to take Celtic into Europe and, you know, fulfilling his ambitions. You know, that honour, prestige that we talk about at that level back for Celtic.
With Rodgers, I think it's about legacy. And his legacy was tarnished by the way that he left, whether people like it or not, to be honest. People think about... When people were talking about Rodgers before he came back in 2023, there was always two conversations that were had. 2 trebles, yes, but the way that he left in the night on that week before Hearts and Hibs, it did leave a sour taste in the mouth. And Rodgers even spoke about it, but it's all about legacy now. He's rebuilt those bridges slowly but surely with the Celtic support, the Celtic players, the Celtic hierarchy. It's all about legacy, Tony. I think he's here to really cement himself as the best modern day Celtic manager, and he could do it. He's a European run away from being number 2.
That's the unticked box, isn't it? And that's the one where a lot of the judgment will come, because they will say, yeah, you bossed it domestically, but you went into that competition and you didn't do anything. So Carly's LVVS watched 10 years out of Brendan Rodgers, but there's such a feel good factor now with him being here that I would like to sound him out about it, see his thoughts, and and I think that would show ambition to actually no succession planning and forward planning, and take it seriously now, Ryan. I'm not saying I never took it seriously in the past, but we've got a guy at the helm who wants to be here and who's as ambitious as you and I sitting here, and I just think it's just my thoughts. Stephen Fleming 100% could go far with bringing it the wheel, and this could be his home if he matches his ambitions inside and out. They've matched his ambitions in this transfer window, and he seems a happy man, Ryan. And that manifested itself today with that performance today and that golf and class that you saw with your rivals today. But Stephen John saying, who gives out 67-year contracts? I get that. I'm fairly cognizant of that. But
Chelsea. It's true. It's so true. That's great timing from Snick.
Tell me you're not happy with the way things are going under Brendan Rodgers at this minute. And he is, as you say, Ryan, I think he's a decent European campaign away from, people getting really excited about where this team can go and what can happen under the manager. And I think he has an eye on a kind of legacy at Celtic, because he didn't want it to end the way it ended the first time. So I would just sound him out about it. He doesn't have to sign it. But CJ7, he's class. My thoughts exactly. I hope he's talking
his
about
team's class as well. His team is
Billy Fisher saying the Celtic board can match Brendan's ambition if they so choose. That's the point I'm making. We're talking about ambition here, and they've matched it for this window because he's got the calibre of player in that he wanted, and we shall see. And I don't know what his thoughts would be on that. Maybe not in a hurry, but I would like to think they would ultra wide though, saying they don't owe Brendan a bumper contract offer just yet, but it's getting close. How about they get to Christmas? Well, probably win a few games.
A League Cup that was lost last season. That'll be one of his aims, by the way. There won't be any changing or any weakening of the team. They want that trophy back.
What did he mention? We managed to win 2 trophies last season. We gave the first one up at the first hurdle, which was disappointing. He was raging at that. Kilmarnock, because obviously it spoiled his record as well, but it wasn't about him per se, but I think he genuinely was annoyed that they coughed up the League Cup last season.
I don't doubt that, Tony.
Yeah.
I don't, because I just...
He's a winner, right? He's a winner.
I think there was I don't think he could have went. I don't think he could have went full on with the whole, everything that you get around Brendan Rodgers, the passion, the press conferences, etc., the box office that we talk about. He couldn't go into that straight away because it was awkward between him and the fans, because he just came back. It's like somebody else. It's like somebody coming back after a breakup or something. It's awkward to begin with between the two parties, but that relationship has been mended. And you're starting to see a guy really thrive in his position. And his team are thriving because of that, because the confidence that he shows outside of that matters, like in the press conferences and probably in training as well. You're seeing that then transfer onto the pitch with the players. They're playing with a bit of swagger now, that Brendan Rodgers swagger that he has off the pitch. It's symmetrical off the park and on the park at the moment. It's looking very, very good at the moment, Tony. I'm very positive about where this team can go, and bring on Europe, to be honest. I think that's the message that we've all got. We're all excited for that.
Steady, young man. Steady.
No, I'm not disregarding any of the teams that Celtic are playing, but they play like that in Europe, or they play to the more the levels that they maybe should against Hibs for 20 minutes and Kilmarnock for 60 minutes. Who's to say they can't get a result or two in Europe,
of course,
both home and away from home? They've now got the squad to do it. And let's see how this international break goes. Touch wood, there's no injuries. And they come back, a fully fit squad, ready to take on this new season. If your Hearts, you're dreading 2 weeks on Saturday. You're absolutely dreading it because of the team on form.
Do you know, I also love I think he was asked as well about the way the team's been playing since the start of the season. And he said, we've been working hard like this since the 27th of June. So what he said, since we came back in. So this isn't no fluke. This isn't a flash in the pan. This isn't something that's just happened the past couple of games that they've strung it together. This has been since the moment they came back from pre-season training after their break last season. This was him and saying, right, this is how we're going to play. This is how we're going to go about our business. And we are going to cut a swathe and we're going to cut a swagger doing it this way. If you listen, you learn, you'll play this way, you will be good enough to defeat everything in front of you, certainly domestically. Europe's a different kettle of fish, but you got a taster for the kind of calibre of player and team you'll play when they played Chelsea and Man City and scored a lot of goals against them and put in some decent performances. But everyone said, it's pre-season. But that pre-season form is now manifesting itself domestically. And now, as you say, can it transition? That's what everybody's desperate for now, to see it transition into Europe. And they've had the fortune of playing, they'll have the fortune of playing Slovan Bratislava in their first game. And you are going to go into that confident you can get your campaign off to a flyer, Ryan. I was only saying steady because you're mindful of the fact Celtic's record in that at that level has been brutal for the past while, but I think you're entering it with new optimism because you think you've got a squad and a manager now who are in a place where they can cope with the demands of it, and you can make tweaks and you can see what the manager's trying to do with this team, and you're excited for what lies ahead. That's more to the point, isn't it?
Yeah, people are already circling in their calendars October 19th, the first meeting between Celtic and Aberdeen, the two top sides in Scotland at the moment. You've got to really give Aberdeen credit as well. I'm careful that I don't make it an Aberdeen podcast as well. I know it's a Celtic one, but he's Jimmy Tallan's team. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his second name. I'm going to have to double check that. But 9 wins out of 9 in the League Cup and Scottish Premiership, respectively. They're a bit of a force to be reckoned with. We'll see if they've got the staying power to do it. But
and doing a Celtic yesterday, Ryan scoring late on to win
at Dingwall, late goals at Dingwall,
and then shouting an obscenity to Celtic that they were going to win the league. I admire that. That's quite ballsy and.
The league is better with strong Aberdeen in it, Tony.
The league I salute that, and it made me smile when some people were getting angry about it yesterday. And who do they think they are? But
it's rivalry.
if you can't sing stuff like that when you're playing that, Snick coming in. I agree, Snick. I loved that from them yesterday. I thought I thought it was funny. I just loved that. Correct. And fair play to them. And do you know what? You say it here and now. You win a game when you play Aberdeen. And I know they might have got lucky against Ross County and Dingwall, the same way Celtic got a bit lucky that night in Dingwall and Tony Ralston scored. So, but when you're playing well and you're riding the crest of a wave and things are going for you, that's what happens. You create your own luck. So you have to recognise the fact that Aberdeen are there on merit. So, and we'll be in a game when we play them. So, yeah, Dan Tinney coming in and saying Aberdeen will take points off Rangers, not Celtic. Yeah, well, you would say the way Celtic are playing, you have to see who's going to take points off Celtic just now, Dan. But Aberdeen will fancy their chances, will have a crack at you, and you better be ready for it. And I'm sure Celtic will be. But it's good to see them up there and having a jest drying at the Celtic fans' expense. Got to be able to laugh at yourself sometimes, haven't you?
Without a doubt, and they deserve to be shouting that because they're in that position. They're they're joint top with Celtic at the moment. Celtic did their business today. Celtic have a healthier goal difference than Aberdeen, but they score late goals. That they seem to really be resonating under their new manager. Who there was a lot of talk about him earlier on in the season, saying was he the right man for the job? Maybe they could have went with like targets that were more familiar to the league. Just goes to show you, like Ange Postecoglou, it's sometimes worth going for the left field option. But Celtic have went back to somebody that they know well. They had that awkwardness in the first half of the first season. But ever since then, there just seems to be something that's just clicked between Celtic and Brendan Rodgers. I'm just wanting it to click in Europe now as well. They're in form in Europe when you look at the fact that they won the last game against Feyenoord. I was talking to somebody yesterday about Celtic being in form in that regard. But, that'll help. The fact that they've got Slovan Bratislava, that's the one game that I would have chose to be first in the calendar.
Of course. You would have handpicked that.
Yeah, and I know they've got 2 away games after that against Borussia Dortmund and Atalanta, respectively. But, what a chance to get 3 points on the door early.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm starring comments. And Alexander Biggie coming in saying, thank you guys for the top content as always. Enjoy the rest of your day. That's really king, Alexander. I really appreciate that. Thank you to Ross McFarlane, who signed up for the $2.99, became a YouTube members channel. And Jason Lee, yes, this channel's class. Thank you, Jason. Really appreciate it. We appreciate everybody. 750 people, Ryan, joining us on a Sunday night when Celtic have defeated Rangers 3-0. It was all very comfortable in the end, wasn't it? Like a lot of people predicted.
Yep, absolutely. It was completely comfortable, and I was coming out of the game thinking I'm delighted that Celtic have won, obviously, because you cover Celtic, but in a way that you expect it. Like that was exactly the way I expected the game to go. I didn't go into the game thinking I'm worried about what Rangers are going to do or what threats that Rangers have, because I was more focused on the fact of what Celtic can do and the showings that they've had. That showing against St Mirren was really good. Last week, the double header against Hibs and Kilmarnock, they were good showings too. So we had the proof that Celtic were in a good place. Showed it in pre-season. I'm just delighted with the way things are going. They're sitting pretty at the top of the league, joint top with Aberdeen, of course, but that's something that they can work on once they get back. Everything in there, they've done everything in their power to be where they are at the moment. The superior goal difference shows that, and they're sitting pretty at the top of the league, and I can't really complain. Going into the international break, completely spotless record, 1 goal conceded, no goals conceded in the league so far. It's been a pretty good Sunday, Tony.
Someone has to have a word with Casper Schmeichel and tell him it's not always that easy. You know what I mean? Yeah, and he's gone today, Ryan, of course. A couple of decent saves. A wee bit busier, wasn't he? And I saw Joe Hart was in the stands today watching it, Ryan. Watching his successor.
Yeah, he came out at half time as well, Tony. He got a real rousing reception, which was great to see. I'm glad that he got that farewell with the fans too. He did get his farewell in the last game of the season and in the Scottish Cup final, but it was good for him to come back and sort of feel the love and adulation of the support, because he was a great servant for the 3 years he was at the club. But I'll say it quietly, but the opinion still remains. I think Celtic have upgraded in that position as well, particularly with distribution. So plenty more to see from Kasper Schmeichel, though I'm delighted with what he's shown us so far, with Sinisalo nicely working away in the background.
I'm sure he'll get his chance to show us what he's got, Ryan, in the cup matches. I'm hoping he does. Dennis Jameson coming in and saying a super end to a brilliant week. It most certainly has been. 55 minutes we've been going, Ryan. Shall we go 5 and another 5 minutes make it an hour, or are you desperate to get home?
Well, Celtic are going for 55 this season, so I think now would be a good time to finish off.
That's fair enough. You heard the man. Guys, thank you for all your support, your subscriptions. We couldn't do it without you. That's why we flash up as many of your comments as possible. I always say it's result dependent, but Ryan, once again, Celtic 3, Rangers 0. Goals from Dyson Maeda, Kyogo Furuhashi and Callum McGregor. What is it they say about Sundays? They're beautiful.
3 is the magic number as well.
3 is the magic. It was the magic number. Cool. Carly's PC. Finish up, lads. Hell, indeed. Next one. Ryan, I'll let you get home, sir.
Thank you very much, guys, and thank you to everybody that's joined us both in the pre and post match today. The numbers have been absolutely incredible as usual, and thank you to the people that will tune in after. The match ratings will be available at 7:00 tonight, so they're just getting finalised and put up. I'll do a couple of tweets for them as well, and then they'll be ready for it. But enjoy the rest of your Sunday, guys. Celtic have won another Glasgow derby, and yeah, Glasgow's green once again.